So let us go ahead and look into the advantages of Selenium. So when it comes to the advantages of Selenium, Selenium is an open source tool. Yes, what do you mean by open source tool? Open source tool in the sense we don't have to go and purchase any license to work with Selenium. Yes, comparably when you go and look into other automation tools over there, as I told you, there are n number of automation tools in the market. If you go and look into those tools, there are no tools which are freeware. Okay, every tool, each and every automation tool that you go and pick it up, it has to, we have to go and purchase some license and to work with it. So over here Selenium is the open source tool. That means we can easily go and work with the Selenium tool over there. We can easily go and download it, so we don't have to go and purchase any license for it. Then Selenium supports all the browsers like Internet Explorer, Firefox, Chrome, Opera and Safari. Yes, Selenium is going to support all the browsers available in the market as well. Coming to the third point, Selenium supports all the operating systems like Windows, Linux, Unix, Mac, etc. Yes, so we can easily go and work with the Selenium tool on different operating systems, but it is not similar to other tools as well. Like, you know, if you take QTP tool, we can only go and work with the Windows. Okay, if you are working with QTP tool, we can only work with the Windows operating systems. We cannot go ahead and install this QTP tool on Linux operating system or Mac operating system. Understood? Because there are some limitations to work with some of the automation tools, wherein coming to Selenium, it doesn't have any limitations with respect to the operating systems or the browsers as well. Now let us go and see the next point, that is Selenium supports multiple languages. This point we already learned in our previous slide, saying that, you know, Selenium is going to support multiple languages. And if you know, we can easily go and work with Selenium if you know Java or PHP or .NET or Perl or Ruby or you know, Pascal, whatever the language it is. Then we can implement both user-defined and the built-in frameworks in Selenium. Yes, what do you mean by built-in frameworks? What do you mean by user-defined frameworks over there? So in our training session, we are going to learn something about, you know, built-in frameworks in wherein we are going to configure. We just have to go and install it over there, and I mean, I can go and easily I can go and use the predefined methods over there, okay, from those frameworks. But when coming to user-defined frameworks, we are going to we are going to design our own our own frameworks, okay, with an effective way, and we should be very reliable, okay, and it should be very easy to go and understand, to handle as well. So coming to the user defined frameworks, over here we are going to explore our knowledge on data driven, keyword driven, hybrid driven and Cucumber framework. Now your requirement of Cucumber framework lies at over here, that is the user defined frameworks. Got it? So, but you know, before going to step into the frameworks, we should know how to go and work with the WebDriver. We should know how to go and generate the scripts and execute the scripts over there in Ruby as well. So once we are done with it, then we can go and step into the designing the frameworks and all. So framework designing will be at the last sessions of our Selenium training classes. All right, fine then. Let us go and see the next slide. So here are some of the disadvantages of Selenium. Selenium supports only web-based applications, and Selenium is a combination of multiple components, so that configuration and utilization is a bit difficult. Yes, Selenium supports only web-based application. Why? Okay, because it is we can only perform cross-browser testing using Selenium tool. All right. That means, as I told you, Selenium is not going to automate any of the Windows-based application, and that is what we are going to consider as the main disadvantage of Selenium. Then coming to the second point, Selenium is a combination of multiple components. Yes, in order to work with Selenium, we have to go and install a lot of stuff over there. Okay, so if you are working with Ruby, we have to go and install. If you are going to work with Java, we have to go and download the jar files and configure the jar files. If you are working with .NET, we have to go and download .dll files, and then we have to go and configure those DLL files with our tool, that is the Microsoft Visual Studio tool. Over there, when we are working with C#, and in Java we are going to work with Eclipse or NetBeans, and in Ruby we are going to work with the editors. Okay, fine. So over here, what we're gonna do is we have to go and configure, and this configuration of Selenium is a bit tricky. But don't worry, since we are going to configure the Selenium on a daily practice, it will give a good hands-on experience for us to go and work with Selenium. Okay, fine then. Selenium supports multiple languages, so that we should have more technical knowledge. Exactly, because we should have more technical knowledge. Because let us say, for example, if we are going to write the scripts on Selenium with Ruby, and then say I am my project lead has asked me to go and design the scripts on Selenium with Ruby. Then after 2 years of our work, of our effort over there in Selenium with Ruby, okay, he comes back, or after 1 year he comes back to us saying that, okay, he is going to arrange some meeting over there, and he will say, okay team, let us go and switch from Selenium with Ruby to Selenium with Java or Selenium with .NET. Then in that case, we have to go and learn Selenium with Java as well. So that is the main disadvantage again, because since Selenium tool is going to support multiple language, even that is one of the main disadvantage, because we may not be aware which language client is going to pick in order to go and generate the scripts, right? So Java, .NET and Ruby are fine. How about PHP? How about Perl? Those are something different again, which is scripting. Okay team? So that is one of the main disadvantage again. Then lack of technical resources. Yes, you can hardly find the people with Selenium experience over there in the market. Okay, because there is a good demand over there for Selenium in the market, and preferably you can find very less people who are without jobs over there in Selenium. Fine. Then let us go and look into the difference between QTP tool and the Selenium tool. So QTP is a licensed tool, wherein Selenium, as I told you, it's an open source tool. And this QTP tool is developed by Mercury Interactive Corporation, and later it is acquired by HP. So Mercury Interactive Corporation is a corporation, and now the Hewlett Packages company has owned the Mercury Interactive, and they have also named the QTP tool as UFT tool. As of now, it is UFT tool. And what is this UFT tool? It's nothing but a combination of QTP tool plus SOAP UI. Alright, then coming to Selenium. Selenium is an open source tool, and this was developed by Jason Huggies and team, as we already know, and they used to work for a company called as the ThoughtWorks company. Then QTP supports the scripting languages like VB scripting and Java scripting over here. When coming to Selenium, is going to support for multiple languages. Okay, fine. Then QTP supports only Windows based applications, Windows operating systems. You can see we can only work with the QTP tool if we have only Windows operating systems, but Selenium is going to support on all the operating systems as well. Okay, then QTP supports only Internet Explorer, Firefox and a Chrome browser, wherein Selenium supports all the browsers available in the market. Like apart from this Internet Explorer, Firefox and browser, we do have different browsers like Chrome, Opera, Safari, okay, and all this. So we can easily go and work with it. We can easily go and automate those browsers as well. Fine. So there is a dedicated location called an object repository. Yes, what do you mean by object repository? Here, object repository is nothing but a storage. Okay, a storage wherein I am going to identify all the object properties and values, and I am going to put it over there in object repository. Okay, so here we are going to store the properties and values of the objects. So what do you mean by object over there? Object is nothing but in the QTP tool, when we are working with the QTP tool, we used to name all the elements as objects. What are the elements? Let us say a button, a text box, a link, a radio button, a checkbox, a drop down box, okay, the text. All these are considered as objects, and we are going to capture all the objects, locators and values, and then we are going to put it over there in object repository. Now when coming to Selenium, there is no such dedicated location to store the properties and values of the objects in Selenium. And do remember team, in QTP we are going to name these objects elements as objects, and in Selenium we are going to name these elements as web elements. Alright, fine. Then we can implement only user defined frameworks in QTP. Yes, we can easily go and work with the QTP tool, and we can go and work with the frameworks which we are going to design are only user defined frameworks. Now when coming to Selenium, we can implement both user-defined frameworks and built-in frameworks in Selenium. Yes, obviously, when we are going to work with Selenium, we can work with the inbuilt frameworks and user-defined frameworks as well. Then we can directly integrate with the test management tool like Quality Center tool from QTP. Yes, that means when I am going to work with the QTP tool, I do have a I do have a image over there, or else I do have a link over there, or else a setting over there in my QTP tool, wherein I can go and push the defects directly from the QTP tool to Quality Center tool's defects tab. Okay, where in Selenium we don't have such type of integration. Is that clear to you? In Java, if you are going to work with Java, I write the test scripts in Java language. If I am going to work with Selenium with .NET, I used to go and write the test scripts in Selenium with C#, right? So if I am going to write if I am working with Ruby, then I should go and write the scripts in Ruby language. Got it? So Selenium components. Coming to Selenium components, Selenium is a combination of multiple components, and majorly there are 4 different types of components available over there. What are they? Selenium RC, and Selenium WebDriver, and Selenium Grid. Could you able to see my screen, Ratna? Alright, fine. So what is the Selenium IDE? Selenium IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. Okay, IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment, which is a record and a playback tool wherein I can go and easily go and design the scripts, and I can go and RC is nothing but the remote control wherein I have to go and design the scripts over there in the respective technology, that is, say in our case it is Ruby. And then what we are going to do, in order to drive the script, I have to go in. So when I say Selenium when I say Selenium WebDriver or Selenium tool, okay, Selenium WebDriver is something that we are going to use the Selenium WebDriver in the real-time scenarios as well. We are no more using the Selenium RC. We are no more using the Selenium IDE in the real-time scenarios wherein we are going to work with Selenium WebDriver over here. Understood? Okay, we are going to use the WebDriver over here, and then what we are going to do, we are going to generate the scripts and execute the scripts over there. Okay, fine. Then coming to Selenium Grid. Okay, when it comes to Selenium Grid, we are not going to explore our knowledge. We are not going to explore our knowledge on Selenium Grid. So in our training session, why? Because in order to work with Selenium Grid, as you might be knowing it, all these components over there, or if you don't know, like, let me explain you. Selenium Grid is something that you can execute the same test script, or you can execute the same test case on different browsers, okay, on different browsers parallelly on different systems. Let us say I have 3 systems, okay, and I have 3 browsers. In one system I do have Internet Explorer, in one system, and I do have Mozilla Firefox, in another system I do have Chrome. So with respect to Selenium Grid, I can execute one of the test case, and when I go and execute one of the test case, this test case has to be executed in all the 3 systems parallelly on different browsers. Okay, that is something called as a Selenium Grid. But in the real-time scenarios, you are provided with only one system. You are not supposed to go and work with the Selenium Grid as well. Okay, so because Selenium Grid is something that we can go and perform testing with based on the load as well. We can go and perform the performance testing. But when it comes to real time, we are said to be a functional testing team, and then there is a separate team called as a performance testing team, wherein they are going to test the applications with the help of the particular tools like Load Runner or Apache JMeter and all. Okay, so we don't have to go and focus so much on Selenium Grid as well. Okay, our training starts from Selenium IDE. Okay, so we are going to start our sessions from Selenium IDE once we are done with the Selenium IDE, because Selenium IDE tool doesn't require any scripting language. Okay, we don't have to go and write any code over there. We don't have to design any code. It is just a record and a playback tool, and we are going to record and a playback tool, and we are going to automate the applications. So once we are done with Selenium IDE, we are going to explore our knowledge on basic concepts of Ruby.